individuals that we're going to be speaking to aren't just former coworkers or colleagues. To a certain extent, they were all part of the Bush family. They may not have had the Bush name, but you hear in their voices the words that they're using. They had a relationship with this man that transcended just employment. There was something special there. And one of those individuals that he, quote-unquote, worked with, if you will, is an individual that, let's say when you jump out of a plane with somebody, you're working with them. He helped celebrate
You need someone good when you
need
jump
somebody
out
good.
of a plane.
85th birthday by jumping out of a plane at more than 10,000 feet.
And joining us now on the phone is retired Army Sergeant, First Class, Michael Elliot. He is the president of the All-Veteran Group and Parachute Team. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We're doing fantastic as we reflect on this wonderful life and legacy, and that's what we are trying to focus on. I know you'd like to focus on that as well, and I mentioned earlier that George W. Bush wrote a little bit in his book, 41, about a jump that 41 took when he was 90. You were there for the one at 85. After he jumped in 1990, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I hope our viewers will forgive me when I say that Schwarzenegger called up and said, "Happy birthday to the most badass 90-year-old I know."
You know, believe it or not, I've taken the former president on 3 of his jumps, the rededication of his library, his 85th birthday, and I was there for his 90th birthday.
So you were there?
And I was there. And absolutely, I just had walked in the house when he had got the call from Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it's so amazing. When I remember walking in, and the entire family was sitting in, and they all applauded when I walked in. But, you know, it was, to me, I was so honored to have the opportunity to put a smile on a great American hero's face, and that's what he was, a great American hero, and believed in American values. And you know, we've lost the Superman.
I know the wind's going pretty fast in your ears when you're skydiving, but what was he talking about during some of these dives, if you can remember hearing those comments?
I remember on the rededication of his library in College Station, Texas, he was concerned about landing properly. I mean, 41 is definitely a perfectionist, and he wanted to make sure that whatever he was doing, he did it 100%. On his last jump on his 90th birthday, you know, he was kind of taking it all in. You know, being over Walker's Point and staying in his church, he was kind of just very quiet. And a couple times I was saying, "Hey, sir, are you okay?" But I think he was just kind of like looking at all that he had accomplished and thinking about everything that he had accomplished. I don't know exactly what he was thinking, but he wasn't saying a whole lot.
Wow.
Have you met ever anyone in your career and all the jumps you've done as brave as that man, as a 90-year-old, to jump out of an airplane?
You know, ma'am, I would have to say I've met a whole lot of brave heroes in my life. But, you know, as far as meeting a former president who, regardless of, you know, whoever he spoke with, it didn't matter that he was a president. He was, you know, truly a guy that loved everyone. And I can recall that I received a letter from him, and he told me that for us to have a very close relationship would be an understatement on several levels. He considered me a friend. And, again, it's just an honor to have met 41 and the family, and I truly feel like I'm a small part of his life. And
wow.
That's
great wonderful honor to hear. And as someone who covered the White House, I heard that from Secret Service agents and uniformed officers of the Secret Service, sir, who would say, you know, sometimes a president, Democrat or Republican, won't really chat you up because they're busy, obviously. They're the commander-in-chief. Give us a quick story. We've got about 30 seconds. How did he show that to you, that you mattered to him?
You know, he continues, him and Mrs. Bush continues to show that. I think every Christmas, I get a Christmas card from the Bush family. And letters from him. When my son was born, he wrote my son a personal letter. Oh. That's how he had showed me that he's a great American hero.
That's remarkable. Michael Elliot is president of the All-Veteran Group and Parachute Team. We appreciate your insights and really wonderful reflections this morning. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, sir.